At City Hall, the battle over Mayor Brandon Johnson's budget intensifies.
And today, a group of city council members accused the mayor of ignoring key recommendations from consultants they say cost taxpayers millions of dollars. And WGN political reporter Taman Bradley is here to tell us more about this verbal battle. Taman?
Ray and Lourdes, last week a majority of Alders came out against Mayor Johnson's plan to revive the corporate head tax. This week, 10 Alders want a special meeting to grill independent accountants who audited city finances. Today, opponents of Mayor Johnson's budget proposal set a confrontation for next week. The group filed papers to call an emergency city council meeting for next Monday. The subject, an EY accounting firm audit of the Chicago budget.
Those findings should not be sitting in a shelf. They should be discussed openly, questioned publicly, and considered carefully as part of our budgeting process.
So for those of you who don't understand what's currently going on in Chicago, Chicago is in a budget deficit and is trying to raise money for next year's budget through other means because, as you guys know, during the 4 years of Biden, illegal immigrants were much more important to the Chicago mayor than actual tax-paying citizens of the city of Chicago. And so what happened was he blew out the budget. He spent all his resources on trying to house and trying to give free stuff to the illegal immigrants who were not paying any taxes, obviously, because they're not legal immigrants. And now they're having trouble on funding the city of Chicago for their next fiscal. I don't know if they do it every year or if it's every other year or whatever the case may be. But their budget is blown out. They don't know how to get the money. And the city's also trying to make cuts, but Brandon Johnson, the mayor of Chicago, the incompetent mayor, he's actually worse than Lori Lightfoot. And Lori Lightfoot was a terrible mayor. Decided that he was going to hire a consulting firm to audit the books, see where they can cut, but he hid the records. I'm assuming because there are certain things on there that they recommend that could be cut that he doesn't want cut.
As you know, we're close to $1.2 billion in the hole this year. We are looking for hundreds of millions of dollars that were proposed inefficiencies in this report.
In May, the city gave EY, also known as Ernst & Young, a $3.2 million contract to study the budget and find sources of new revenue and ways to find savings. The mayor's proposed budget lays out $80 million in cost reductions. But the Alders question why Mayor Johnson did not adopt all of the EY recommendations.
He didn't adopt them because obviously he has to give kickbacks to the teachers' unions and the groups that back him. If he makes the cuts that are being recommended, he's going to be letting those people out to dry. Now here's the problem. Mayor Johnson is already a very unpopular mayor. He's not very well liked in Chicago. He has a 26% approval rating. And I looked it up for this video. This is the reason I know. So more likely than not, Mayor Johnson will not be reelected for a second term. But I personally don't have any trust in Chicago to actually get someone in there with common sense and common decency and just to know what they're doing. They're going to elect another guy or another woman who's going to go in there, scream racism, scream sexism, scream whatever the case may be. You're attacking me because I'm black, because Mayor Johnson has done the same thing. Lori Lightfoot did the same thing. And the problems are just going to keep getting worse. And Chicagoans are just going to keep electing the same kind of people. And they're going to wonder why. Well, why is our city failing? Because you keep electing the same type of politicians who keep letting you guys fail, who don't actually have the best interest of your people at heart, who care more about non-citizen illegal immigrants than they do about the tax-paying people that are in your city. This is why your city is failing. But it's all about the virtue signal. You have to look good to the constituents or to the country, let's say, because to the progressive circles, because it's not about looking good for the constituents. They don't care about the constituents. It's about how do you look good to the progressive liberals to keep their favor. I guarantee you the 26% of people that approve of Mayor Johnson are upper crust white liberal women who don't have to deal with the reality of what Chicago is. And I'm sure he has some black support sprinkled in there because certain groups of black people simply do not care whether your policies are good or bad. If you're a Democrat, as long as you are black and a Democrat, they will support you no matter what. It doesn't matter if your elected officials are looking to let people out of jails early, violent criminals, and let them back out into their neighborhoods. They will support them no matter what, even though those same politicians who claim to care about those people are just putting those same people in more danger by letting out dangerous criminals, by doing prison reform, by doing cashless bail. That's how Democrats operate. And again, especially if they're black, there's going to be a certain constituency of the black community that are going to support you no matter what. It could be a black mayor literally driving them off a cliff, and they'll be like, I'll support him to the end. It doesn't matter.
What we've seen is that the administration has only chosen a couple small things out of this document to move forward with, when they have the full opportunity here to take dozens of those efficiencies to create a better situation for taxpayers, and they've refused to do that.
A spokesperson for Mayor Johnson says Alders were briefed on what was incorporated from the EY report and that the administration is willing to meet again. The mayor's office is in the process of securing a date and time that works for Alders sometime this week or next, a Johnson spokesperson said in a statement.
We've balanced budgets off the backs of working people. I'm going to defend the working people in this city with everything that I have inside of me.
The Alders calling to meet are not just suspicious of savings in the mayor's budget, they're also concerned about his planned borrowing and progressive revenue, which includes the return of a corporate head tax.
With the head tax, with the smart tax, some of these other things, there's no data behind those that they have shown us.
This administration was looking to do a budget vote on November 20th. That's 17 days from now. How anybody in this city council can feel that we're ready. EY is a global firm. They are one of the most respected in the business. We think it's very important that they come before us and lift up the hood.
The mayor's office prefers a subject matter hearing on the EY report, but if the Alders insist on having a full council meeting, they'll need 26 members to show up in order to conduct business. This dust-up, just another sign that the Alders remain far apart on a budget deal.
Here's a video of the mayor of Chicago defending his budget proposal and how he thinks he's going to get this money. Because again, he doesn't actually care about Chicagoans. He's looking at tax corporations who are in turn just going to hire less people, because if you tax them every month per person a certain tax, you know, based on the amount of employees that they have, they're just going to start firing people and hiring even less. But Mayor Johnson doesn't understand how this would hurt the working class. But let's hear what he has to say.
Good afternoon, Mayor Brandon Johnson spent over 3 minutes defending his 2026 budget plan.
Even though there's a warning, it could lead to the city's credit being downgraded. Tia's back to explain why the mayor says the rich should pay more. Tia.
That's exactly what he said, and he was very candid about what he had to say. Earlier this year, Chicago's credit rating was knocked down a notch, a signal to investors that the city may struggle to meet its financial obligations. The mayor says that's exactly why he's pushing for new progressive revenue sources and says financial problems already existed well before he took office.
Yeah, that's because they've had 50 years of incompetent leadership in Chicago. Chicago has not had anything but a Democrat mayor for over 50 years. It could probably be even longer, but let's just say 50 years. And every good Democrat has just progressively gotten the city worse. One of our great cities, one of the great cities of the United States, and I'll call it a great city because Chicago does have the potential to be that, but it just doesn't have the leadership to be that. Just like Detroit was once one of our great cities. It no longer is, but that's because the leadership, again, ran it to the ground. And there's a lot of other factors involved in that, but I digress. One of our great cities has been run by nothing but Democrats for over 50 years, and they've done nothing but run it to the ground, and they want to blame other people and other factors as to why they failed at governance.
Securing revenue from areas where our economy is shifting, which the social media tax is one of those areas that I believe that will ensure that we generate more progressive revenue to deal with the structural damage that I inherited.
Mayor Brandon Johnson is defending his more than $16 billion budget plan, even as analysts warn it could put Chicago's credit rating at risk. The mayor is pushing a first-of-its-kind social media tax, part of several new revenue proposals aimed at what he calls, quote, fairness. That includes a community safety surcharge, a $21 per month head tax on large employers, and higher fees.
There it is, a $21 per month head tax on employers. Do you think that's going to incentivize companies to hire more people if they have to pay $21 per month per person that they hire? And including the current employees as well, I'm assuming. Do you think these companies in Chicago are going to want to do that? They're not going to do that. They'll probably stop doing business in the city anyways. But again, it's not about helping the working class. It's actually about hurting the working class while telling them that they're trying to help.
On cloud-based services, critics say those measures could drive jobs and innovation right out of the city of Chicago, calling it a move that could make the city less competitive. Johnson insists, though, the plan is about long-term stability, not short-term pain, saying he inherited a broken system and this budget is the moment of truth for fixing it. And he won't balance the budget shortfalls on the backs of the poor.
You're asking me to go before city council and defend the very people that have made an enormous amount of revenue over the course of decades off the backs of working and poor people. What are we debating here? What are we debating here? We're either going to challenge those with means who have made hundreds of billions of dollars, unprecedented revenue at a time in which families are struggling to pay for college, to pay for groceries, to afford rent, mortgage. I'm going to defend and stand up for working people through it all.
Now, no official date has been set for city council to vote on the budget, but a vote has to happen before the end of the year. Of course, we'll be watching out for that date. Sylvia?
Good afternoon.
It's over for Chicago. It's simply over for Chicago. And I don't feel bad because as you guys know, I always say it in these videos when I talk about voting, you get what you vote for, and you get what you vote for long and hard. You deserve what you get when you make these kinds of choices. And again, it just always happens to be that large cities tend to lean liberal, and they tend to vote in more liberal, more progressive candidates as time goes on, to the point where they're electing a socialist in New York. Well, they already elected him. And they wonder why things just go from bad to worse. They don't realize that it's the people they're voting for that are destroying their lives. But those people would rather blame the system. They'd rather blame corporations. They'd rather blame somebody else, and not the fact that they're incompetent and that the policies that they push are actually bad for the people. But anyways, guys, that's all I got for this video. I want to know what you guys think in the comment section down below. If you like this video, hit the like, subscribe, hit that bell notification, and share this video with your friends. And if you like what I do on this channel and you want to support my work, I have links in the description box below. I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.